The year was 2387, and the massive space station called Nexus Prime floated in the darkness between stars. Inside its gleaming metal halls, representatives from dozens of alien species gathered for another meeting of the Galactic Council. The air buzzed with different languages as creatures with multiple eyes, tentacles, and strange skin colors discussed the fate of countless worlds. Commander Jake Morrison sat in the back row of the council chamber, his human features looking plain compared to the exotic aliens around him. His dark hair was cut short in military style, and his brown eyes watched the proceedings with growing frustration. For over 200 years, humans had been part of the Galactic Federation, but they were still treated like children who had wandered into an adult conversation. At the front of the chamber, Admiral Vexitar of the Vorthan Empire stood tall on his 6 legs. His blue-scaled skin reflected the overhead lights as he spoke in his booming voice. The Vorthons were one of the most powerful species in the galaxy, with technology that could destroy entire planets. Next to him sat Counselor Zethra from the Zilani Collective, her silver body gleaming like liquid metal. The Zilani had mastered energy manipulation in ways that seemed like magic to most other species. The topic of today's meeting was the growing threat from the Krillian Dominion. These aggressive aliens had been expanding their territory for months, swallowing up smaller civilizations and enslaving peaceful worlds. Their biomechanical ships were unlike anything the galaxy had seen before, growing and adapting like living creatures. Morrison stood up from his seat and cleared his throat. The chamber fell silent as hundreds of alien eyes turned toward him. He felt their condescending stares but kept his voice steady. Honored council members, Earth formally requests permission to deploy our defense fleets to assist in containing the Krillian threat. We have ships ready to launch within hours. A sound like grinding metal filled the chamber as various aliens made their version of laughter. Admiral Vexitar's 6 eyes narrowed as he looked down at the human. Commander Morrison, while we appreciate Earth's enthusiasm, this is a matter for civilizations with actual military capability. Your species has contributed nothing of value to Federation defense forces in 2 centuries of membership. Counselor Zethra's voice hummed like electricity as she spoke. The humans mean well, but their technology remains primitive by galactic standards. Their fastest ships barely achieve light speed, and their weapons are little more than crude projectile throwers. Perhaps they could assist with supply runs or medical aid, but real warfare requires sophisticated technology. Morrison felt his jaw clench but kept his expression neutral. With respect, honored counselor, Earth's capabilities may surprise you. We have been developing new technologies that could prove effective against the Krillian bioships. This time, the laughter was louder. A delegate from the insectoid Thex Commonwealth clicked his mandibles in amusement. New technologies. Commander, your species only recently discovered faster-than-light travel. The Zilani were manipulating quantum fields when your ancestors were still living in caves. The Vorthons had conquered their first solar system before. Humans learned to make fire. Admiral Vexitar raised one of his clawed hands for silence. Commander Morrison, Earth will contribute to the war effort by increasing food production and medical supplies. Leave the actual fighting to species with the proper equipment and experience. This council meeting is adjourned. As the aliens filed out of the chamber, Morrison remained in his seat, watching them go. Many of them didn't even acknowledge his presence, treating him like a piece of furniture. He had endured this treatment for 5 years as Earth's primary representative to the Federation, and it never got easier. His communication device buzzed softly. Morrison touched the small earpiece and heard a familiar voice. Jake, this is Lisa. How did it go? Dr. Lisa Grant was speaking from a secure facility buried deep beneath the Mojave Desert on Earth. Her blonde hair was pulled back in a practical ponytail, and her green eyes were focused on multiple computer screens, showing data streams that would have been incomprehensible to most people. She was the head of the Earth Defense Initiative's most classified division, overseeing projects that officially didn't exist. About as expected, Morrison replied quietly, making sure no aliens were within earshot. They dismissed us completely. Vexitar actually used the word primitive to describe our technology. Grant exchanged a meaningful look with General Carley. Hayes, who was standing behind her reviewing tactical reports. Hayes was a tall man with gray hair and weathered features that spoke of decades in military service. His blue eyes held a cold intelligence that had served him well in planning Earth's secret preparations. Their arrogance continues to work in our favor, Grant said into her microphone. How long before they realize what they're really facing with the Krillians? Morrison watched through the chamber's massive windows as alien warships moved through space around Nexus Prime. The vessels were impressive by any standard, bristling with energy weapons and protected by advanced shields. But he knew something. These aliens didn't. Intelligence reports suggest the Krillians will make their move within the week. Their bioships have been massing at the edge of Federation space. General Hayes leaned closer to Grant's microphone. Jake, are you certain the Council won't request our assistance when things get bad? Morrison almost smiled at the question. General, these species have spent centuries believing they're superior to humanity. They've built their entire identity around that belief. Even if their fleets get destroyed, they'll probably blame equipment failures before admitting they need help from primitive humans. Back in the desert facility, Grant pulled up holographic displays showing Earth's hidden military assets. Massive construction facilities orbited on the far side of the moon, invisible to casual observation. Shipyards in the asteroid belt worked around-the-clock building vessels that incorporated technology decades ahead of anything the Federation had seen. Research stations throughout the solar system tested weapons and defensive systems based on principles that most alien scientists couldn't even imagine. The Phoenix Protocol remains ready for activation, Grant reported. All assets are in position and crews are standing by. Morrison looked out at the alien ships once more, thinking about what was coming. Lisa, when this is over, the galaxy is going to be a very different place. That's the idea, Jake. That's exactly the idea. The communication ended, and Morrison made his way through the corridors of Nexus Prime toward his quarters. Alien beings. Passed him without a second glance, still convinced that humans were nothing more than useful servants in their grand galactic civilization. Soon they would learn just how wrong they had been. The attack came 3 days later without warning. Captain Alex Turner was commanding the human frigate USS Liberty on patrol near the Kepler system when the emergency signals started flooding the communication channels. His brown eyes scanned the tactical displays as reports poured in from across the Federation border worlds. Turner was a veteran officer with 15 years of experience, but nothing had prepared him for what he was seeing. The Krillian Dominion had launched simultaneous strikes against 3 major Federation worlds, using biomechanical ships that seemed to defy everything the galaxy knew about space warfare. Captain, we're receiving a distress call from the 3rd Fleet, reported Lieutenant Sam Carter from the communications station. Carter was young for his position, with red hair and freckles that made him look like he belonged in a classroom, rather than on a warship bridge. But his skills with alien communication systems were among the best in the human fleet. Turner moved to the main display screen as the message played. Admiral Korath of the Zelani Collective appeared, his normally silver face now flickering between different colors in what Turner recognized as extreme distress. Behind the Admiral, the bridge of his flagship was filled with smoke and sparking electronics. All Federation vessels, this is Admiral Korath aboard the ZCS Starfire. The Krillian bioships are unlike anything in our databases. They're absorbing our energy weapons and adapting to our tactics in real time. We've lost 60% of the 3rd Fleet in the first hour of combat. Request immediate reinforcement from all available units. The transmission cut to static. Turner felt a chill run down his spine as he processed what he had just heard. The 3rd Fleet was one of the Federation's most powerful battle groups, equipped with the latest Zelani energy weapons and Vorthon kinetic systems. If they were being destroyed so easily, the situation was far worse than anyone had imagined. Set course for the Kepler system, maximum speed, Turner ordered. And send a priority message to Earth Command. Tell them the Krillians have made their move and it's bigger than we expected. The USS Liberty jumped to faster than light speed, racing toward a battle that had already been raging for hours. Turner knew his small frigate wouldn't make much difference against enemies that could destroy entire fleets, but Federation protocol required all available ships to respond to distress calls. When they arrived at Kepler, Turner saw a scene from A Nightmare. The space around the inhabited worlds was filled with burning wreckage from Federation ships. The Krillian biovessels moved through the debris like predators, their organic hulls pulsing with sickly colors. The ships looked more like giant sea creatures than spacecraft, with tentacle-like appendages that reached out to grab damaged Federation vessels. "My God," whispered Lieutenant Carter as he stared at the tactical display. "Those things are eating our ships." Turner watched in horror as a Krillian bioship wrapped its tentacles around a damaged Vorthan cruiser. The organic material seemed to flow over the metal hull, breaking it down and absorbing the raw materials. Within minutes, the cruiser was gone and the Krillian ship had grown noticeably larger. "All ships, this is Captain Turner of the USS Liberty. Any Federation vessel still operational, please respond." The reply came from an unexpected source. "Liberty, this is Admiral Vextar aboard the emergency craft Defiant. Our main fleet has been destroyed. These creatures adapt faster than we can modify our weapons. Every tactic we try becomes useless within minutes." Turner located the Defiant on his sensors. It was a small Vorthan escape pod, barely large enough for a handful of survivors. The massive dreadnought that had carried Admiral Vextar was nowhere to be seen. Turner ordered his ship to intercept the pod and bring the Admiral aboard. Minutes later, Vextar stood on the bridge of the USS Liberty, his blue scales scarred and his 6 eyes wide with shock. The proud alien admiral who had dismissed human capabilities 3 days ago now looked broken and confused. "Captain Turner, I must ask for your assistance," Vextar said, his voice barely above a whisper. "My flagship, the V's Thunderstrike, was destroyed in the first wave. These bioships absorbed our plasma cannons and turned the energy against us. They grew armor that deflected our kinetic rounds. Every weapon we fired made them stronger." Turner nodded grimly as he watched the tactical display. More Federation ships were arriving, but they were being destroyed almost as quickly as they appeared. The Krillian biofleet was growing larger with each victory, incorporating the destroyed vessels into their own organic hulls. "Admiral, we need to evacuate any remaining survivors and fall back to defensive positions," Turner said. "This battle is lost." Vextar's mandibles clicked in distress. "Fall back? Captain, if we abandon these worlds, the Krillians will have a clear path to the core systems. They could reach the Federation capital within days." As if to emphasize his point, new sensor contacts appeared at the edge of the system. More Krillian bioships were arriving, their organic forms pulsing with new growths and adaptations learned from the current battle. Turner counted at least 50 new vessels, each one larger than a Federation battleship. The USS Liberty began picking up escape pods and survivors from destroyed Federation ships. The small human frigate was soon overcrowded, with alien refugees, many of them injured and all of them in shock. These were soldiers and officers from the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy, reduced to helpless survivors in a matter of hours. Dr. Sarah Price, the Liberty's chief medical officer, worked frantically to treat the injured aliens. Her medical bay was designed for human physiology, but she adapted her equipment as best she could. The wounded aliens looked at her with a mixture of gratitude and confusion, many of them seeing a human doctor for the first time. "Captain," Lieutenant Carter called from his station, "I'm receiving reports from other systems. The Krillians have launched similar attacks on Altair and Centauri. The pattern is the same everywhere. Federation fleets are being destroyed faster than reinforcements can arrive." Turner made a decision that would haunt him for years. "All ships, this is Captain Turner. Begin immediate evacuation of all Federation personnel in this system. We cannot hold against these enemies with conventional tactics." As the remaining Federation ships began their retreat, Turner sent an encrypted message to Earth. The message was short but carried enormous implications. "Phoenix Protocol authorization requested. Conventional forces have failed. Krillian adaptation rate exceeds all projections. Estimate 72 hours before core worlds are threatened." Back on Earth, General Hayes received the message in his command center beneath the Mojave Desert. He looked at Dr. Grant, who was monitoring reports from across the galaxy. Her face was pale as she processed the scale of the Federation's defeat. "Lisa, Are we ready? Hayes asked quietly. Grant's fingers moved across her control panels, activating systems that had been hidden for decades. All Phoenix assets report ready status. The Titan is standing by for materialization. Hayes thought about the alien representatives who had dismissed human capabilities just days ago. Many of them were probably dead now, killed by an enemy they couldn't understand or adapt to quickly enough. Activate Phoenix Protocol, Hayes ordered. It's time to show the galaxy what humans can really do. The Centauri system had become the last line of defense. Captain Turner stood on the bridge of the USS Liberty, now part of a desperate fleet of surviving Federation ships. The collection of vessels looked pitiful compared to the mighty fleets that had existed just 3 days ago. Vorthan cruisers with scorched hulls flew alongside damaged Zilani energy ships and smaller craft from a dozen different species. Admiral Vextar had taken command of the combined fleet from his temporary headquarters aboard a Thex Commonwealth battleship. His 6 eyes scanned the tactical displays with growing despair as sensor contacts showed the approaching Krillian biofleet. The organic ships had grown even larger since their victories, incorporating the remains of hundreds of Federation vessels into their twisted forms. All ships, this is Admiral Vextar, the Vorthan's voice carried across the communication channels. Long-range sensors show approximately 200 Krillian bioships approaching our position. We have 43 operational vessels remaining. Our orders are to hold this system for as long as possible to allow evacuation of the core worlds. Turner knew it was a suicide mission. The Krillian ships had proven they could adapt to any weapon the Federation possessed. Each battle made them stronger while the defenders grew weaker. But there was nowhere left to run. If Centauri fell, the path to Earth and the other core worlds would be wide open. Lieutenant Carter looked up from his communication station with confusion written across his face. Captain, I'm detecting some kind of space distortion about 50,000 kilometers off our starboard bow. The readings don't match any known Federation technology. Turner moved to the sensor station and studied the displays. The readings were unlike anything he had seen before. Space itself seemed to be bending and twisting in ways that violated basic physics. Energy readings spiked far beyond anything their instruments could properly measure. Across the fleet, alien sensor officers were reporting similar readings. The distortion grew larger and more intense, creating ripples that spread outward like waves on a pond. Some of the smaller ships began to drift away from the phenomenon, their crews uncertain whether this was another Krillian weapon. Then reality tore open. The space distortion exploded outward in a brilliant flash of light that temporarily blinded every sensor in the system. When the glare faded, something impossible floated where empty space had been moments before. Turner stared at his displays in disbelief, certain that his instruments had malfunctioned. The ship that had materialized was enormous beyond comprehension. It stretched nearly 30 kilometers from bow to stern, dwarfing every other vessel in the system. Its hull was made from some kind of adaptive material that shifted between mirror-bright and void black, making it difficult to focus on directly. Along its massive length, thousands of launch bays were opening like mechanical flowers. What in the name of the void is that thing? Admiral Vextar's voice carried a mixture of awe and terror. Before anyone could answer, a new voice filled the communication channels. It spoke in perfect Federation standard, but with an accent that Turner immediately recognized as human. This is Admiral Kate Sullivan of the Earth Defense Force, aboard the USS Titan. Sorry we're late to the party. Admiral Sullivan was a woman, in her 50s with gray-streaked black hair pulled back in a military bun. Her green eyes held the confidence of someone who had never encountered a problem she couldn't solve. She stood on a bridge that looked like something from a science fiction dream, with holographic displays and control systems that operated through direct neural interface. Turner felt his jaw drop. He had never heard of any human ship called the USS Titan, and the Earth Defense Force was supposed to be limited to a handful of patrol frigates and cargo vessels. Yet here was a supercarrier that made the largest alien dreadnoughts look like shuttlecraft. From the Titan's launch bays, squadrons of fighters began emerging. The craft moved with impossible grace, their pilots connected to the ships through neural links that allowed human reflexes to merge with computer processing power. Each fighter, was the size of a Federation patrol boat, but moved like a single-seat interceptor. Admiral Vextar managed to find his voice. USS Titan, this is Admiral Vextar commanding the Federation Defense Fleet. We were not aware that Earth possessed vessels of this capability. Where did this ship come from? Sullivan's reply carried a hint of amusement. We've been busy, Admiral. Stand by for tactical coordination. My pilots will need clear firing lanes for their attack runs. As if summoned by her words, the Krillian biofleet appeared at the edge of the system. The organic ships moved in formation, their hulls pulsing with sickly bioluminescence. They had detected the new arrival and were approaching cautiously, perhaps sensing that this ship was different from their previous opponents. Dr. Grant's voice came through the secure channel to Commander Morrison, who was aboard the Federation command ship. Jake, are you seeing this? The Titan's energy signature is off the charts. How are the aliens reacting? Morrison looked around the bridge of the Thex battleship where he had been serving as a human liaison. The insectoid crew members were clicking, their mandibles in what he recognized as extreme agitation. Their compound eyes reflected the Titan's shifting hull as they tried to process what they were witnessing. They're in shock, Morrison reported quietly. The Thex sensor operator just told his captain that the Titan's power output exceeds their entire battle fleet combined. They can't understand how humans developed this technology without anyone noticing. On the Titan's bridge, Admiral Sullivan watched the approaching Krillian fleet with calm confidence. Her ship's sensors were providing detailed analysis of the bioship's adaptive capabilities, revealing weaknesses that conventional Federation technology couldn't exploit. Colonel Williams, prepare your Marines for boarding operations, Sullivan ordered. These bioships adapt to external threats, but they're vulnerable to internal disruption. Colonel Beth Williams was a compact woman with short brown hair and scars that spoke of countless battles. Her Marines wore armor that seemed to be alive, nanomachines flowing across their bodies and adapting to environmental conditions in real time. They carried weapons that looked more like medical instruments than military equipment. Admiral, boarding pods are ready for launch. My teams are equipped with bio-neural disruptors specifically designed for organic ship systems. Lieutenant Commander Danny Rodriguez led Red Squadron from the pilot seat of his Ghost Fighter. The craft existed partially outside normal space-time, allowing it to phase through conventional defenses. His neural interface fed him tactical data faster than conscious thought, turning him into a hybrid of human intuition and machine precision. Titan Control. This is Red Leader. Beginning attack run on the lead bioship, targeting what appears to be the neural control center. The first Krillian bioship to enter weapons range was a massive creature that had absorbed at least a dozen Federation vessels. Its hull writhed with tentacles and weapon ports that could fire adapted versions of every weapon system it had encountered. The creature had learned to expect energy beams, kinetic projectiles, and plasma bursts. It was not prepared for weapons that attacked the fundamental structure of reality itself. Red Squadron's Ghost Fighters phased through the bioship's adaptive armor as if it didn't exist. Their quantum torpedoes struck directly at the creature's neural centers, disrupting the bioelectric fields that controlled its adaptive systems. The massive ship convulsed as its ability to adapt and modify itself collapsed. The USS Titan's main weapons came online with a sound that seemed to resonate in dimensions beyond normal space. Beams of coherent exotic matter lanced out toward the Krillian fleet, striking bioships that tried to adapt, and finding that adaptation itself was being unmade at the molecular level. Admiral Vextar watched the battle unfold with growing amazement. Commander Morrison, how is this possible? Your species was supposed to be centuries behind us in military technology. Morrison allowed himself a small smile as he watched human fighters dance through space with impossible agility. Admiral, we never said we were behind you. We just never showed you what we were really capable of. The battle that followed would be remembered for centuries as the moment the galaxy's understanding of warfare changed forever. Lieutenant Commander Danny Rodriguez guided his Ghost Fighter through the hull of a Krillian bioship, his craft existing in a state between dimensions that made conventional defenses useless. His neural interface processed targeting data at superhuman speeds while his human intuition guided him toward the creature's most vulnerable points. The bioship tried desperately to adapt to this new threat. Its organic systems churned and modified themselves, creating new defensive measures against energy weapons and kinetic impacts. But Rodriguez's quantum torpedoes didn't attack the ship's armor or shields. Instead, they targeted the bioelectric fields that controlled the creature's ability to adapt itself. Direct hit on Neural Cluster 7, Rodriguez reported as his torpedo struck home. Target's adaptive systems are going offline. The massive bioship convulsed like a wounded animal as its ability to modify itself collapsed. Without adaptation, it became vulnerable to conventional weapons from the Federation fleet. Vorten plasma cannons that had been useless before now tore through the creature's hull, while Zelani energy beams carved deep wounds in its organic armor. Admiral Sullivan watched the tactical display from the Titan's bridge as more ghost fighters phased through enemy hulls. Her neural interface allowed her to process information from hundreds of sources simultaneously, coordinating the attack with precision that no biological mind could achieve alone. Colonel Williams' bioship Alpha 7 is ready for boarding. Its adaptive systems are down. Colonel Beth Williams launched from the Titan's Marine Bay in a boarding pod that looked more like a medical capsule than a military transport. Her nanomachine armor flowed across her body like liquid metal, already adapting to the bioship's internal environment before she even arrived. The boarding pod punched through the creature's weakened hull and deployed its human cargo directly into the ship's nervous system. Williams and her Marines moved through the bioship's corridors with weapons that seemed designed more for surgery than combat. Their bio-neural disruptors sent precisely calibrated electrical pulses through the ship's organic systems, shutting down specific functions without causing unnecessary damage. The goal wasn't destruction, but capture. Titan control. This is Marine 1. We've reached the primary neural center. Beginning interface procedures now. The Marine team attached their equipment directly to the bioship's brain centers, using technology that allowed human consciousness to interface with alien biological systems. Within minutes, they had complete control of the creature, turning it from an enemy vessel into a human-controlled asset. Captain Turner watched from the USS Liberty as the captured bioship turned its weapons against its former allies. The sight of Krillian creatures fighting each other sent shockwaves through the enemy fleet. Their adaptation had been their greatest strength, but now it became a weakness as human-controlled bioships modified themselves in ways the enemy couldn't predict. Admiral Vextar stood on the bridge of the Thex battleship, his 6 eyes fixed on the tactical displays. The Krillian fleet that had seemed invincible just hours ago was being systematically dismantled by human forces using technology he couldn't even begin to understand. Commander Morrison, Vextar said quietly, the energy readings from your ships indicate they're manipulating fundamental forces that our science says should be impossible to control. How long has Earth possessed this capability? Morrison considered his answer carefully. The truth was that humanity had been developing these technologies for over 50 years, hidden behind a facade of primitive space travel and basic industrial output. While the aliens had focused on perfecting their existing technologies, humans had been exploring entirely new branches of science. Admiral, we've been working on these projects since we joined the Federation. We learned early that direct competition with established powers wasn't wise for a newcomer. Instead, we chose to develop capabilities that would complement existing forces. It was a diplomatic way of saying that humanity had deliberately hidden their true potential while their alien allies underestimated them. The deception had taken decades to maintain, but it was paying off now when the galaxy needed Earth's hidden strength most. The USS Titan's main weapon systems came fully online as Admiral Sullivan identified the largest Krillian bioship in the enemy fleet. The creature was a massive hive vessel that had absorbed hundreds of smaller ships, growing to the size of a small moon. Its surface writhed with weapon ports and defensive systems copied from every Federation technology it had encountered. All weapons, target the hive ship, Sullivan ordered. Quantum disruptor cannon, full power. The Titan's primary weapon charged, with energy that seemed to bend space around it. When it fired, the beam didn't just strike the hive ship's hull. It attacked the very concept of matter itself, unmaking the molecular bonds that held the creature together. The massive bioship began to dissolve from the point of impact outward, its organic matter reverting to base elements. The hive ship tried to adapt to this impossible attack, growing new armor and defensive systems at incredible speed. But adaptation required matter to work with, and the quantum disruptor was removing matter from existence faster than the creature could regenerate. Dr. Grant monitored the battle from her facility beneath the Mojave Desert, watching as decades of secret research proved its worth in actual combat. The quantum manipulation technology that powered the Titan's weapons had been theoretical until just 5 years ago. The dimensional phasing systems that made the Ghost Fighters possible had existed only in computer simulations until recently. General Hayes, the Krillian fleet is down to 60% strength and falling. Their adaptive systems can't cope with weapons that operate outside conventional physics. Hayes nodded as he watched tactical displays showing the tide of battle turning completely. The Krillian bioships that had seemed unstoppable were now in full retreat, their adaptation mechanisms overwhelmed by human technology that transcended their understanding of warfare. But the most impressive display was yet to come. The largest remaining Krillian vessel, a command ship the size of a Federation battleship, attempted to ram the USS Titan in a desperate suicide attack. The bioship accelerated to maximum speed, its hull glowing with stored energy from absorbed Federation weapons. Admiral Sullivan didn't even flinch as the enemy vessel approached. Defensive Barrier Mode 7. Phased the target into alternate dimensional space. The Titan's defensive systems activated with a sound like reality tearing. The ramming bioship struck the carrier's barriers and simply ceased to exist in normal space-time. One moment it was there, accelerating toward impact. The next moment it was gone, shifted into a parallel dimension where it could cause no harm. The remaining Krillian ships lost all cohesion as their command vessel vanished. Some attempted to flee, while others tried to surrender. But the human forces had learned too much about bioship adaptation to allow any of them to escape. Ghost fighters hunted down fleeing vessels while Marine boarding teams captured surrendering ships. Captain Turner received new orders from Admiral Sullivan as the battle entered its final phase. USS Liberty, begin search and rescue operations for Federation survivors. We have medical facilities aboard the Titan that can treat injuries our conventional medicine cannot handle. As human ships moved through the battlefield rescuing alien survivors, the full scope of Earth's deception became clear. The cargo vessels that had seemed primitive were revealed to be carrying advanced medical equipment. The patrol frigates that had appeared outdated were actually equipped with sensors more sophisticated than anything in the Federation database. Colonel Williams reported from the captured bioship she was controlling. Admiral, we've successfully interfaced with 7 enemy vessels. Their biological systems are now responding to human neural commands. We can use these ships to hunt down any remaining Krillian forces. The aliens who had dismissed humanity as primitive just days ago now watched in stunned silence as human technology achieved victories they had thought impossible. The Krillian threat that had seemed unstoppable was not just defeated but completely neutralized, with captured bioships adding to Earth's growing fleet. 3 weeks after the Battle of Centauri, the Galactic Council met again on Nexus Prime. But this time the chamber looked very different. Where once alien representatives had sat in positions of assumed superiority, they now gathered as equals seeking audience with Earth's military leadership. The USS Titan hung in orbit above the station, its massive presence a constant reminder of humanity's true capabilities. Admiral Kate Sullivan walked into the council chamber wearing the dark blue uniform of the Earth Defense Force. Her gray-streaked hair caught the overhead lights as she moved to the speaker's platform where Admiral Vextar had once dismissed human military potential. The alien representatives watched her with a mixture of respect and wariness that would have been unthinkable just a month ago. Commander Morrison, now promoted to Admiral Morrison, took his place as Earth's primary representative to the Federation. The back row seat he had occupied for 5 years was now replaced with a position at the head table, directly across from the Vorthon and Zelani leadership. The change in seating arrangements told the entire story of how the galaxy's power structure had shifted. Admiral Sullivan activated the chamber's holographic display system and began her presentation. Honored Council members, Earth formally, requests a restructuring of Federation military command to better address threats like the Krillian Dominion. Our analysis indicates that similar biomechanical civilizations exist beyond our current borders, and conventional Federation technology will be ineffective against them. Counselor Zethra of the Zelani Collective, whose silver form had lost much of its previous arrogance, leaned forward in her seat. Admiral Sullivan, the Zelani Collective acknowledges that human technology proved superior in the recent conflict. We formally request access to your quantum manipulation systems for integration into our defense fleets. Sullivan's expression remained neutral as she considered the request. Counselor, Earth is willing to share certain technologies through joint research projects. However, our most advanced systems require human neural interface capabilities that may not be compatible with Zelani physiology. The truth was more complex than Sullivan let on. Dr. Grant had briefed her extensively on Earth's technology sharing policies before this meeting. Humanity would provide enough advanced technology to strengthen their allies without giving away the secrets that maintained Earth's military advantage. The goal was cooperation, not surrender of strategic superiority. Admiral Vextar rose from his seat, his 6 legs moving with less confidence than they once had. Admiral Sullivan, the Vorthan Empire wishes to formally apologize for our previous assessment of human capabilities. We were clearly operating with incomplete information about Earth's technological development. It was as close to an admission of error as the proud Vorthan was likely to make. Sullivan nodded politely, accepting the apology without dwelling on past insults. Admiral Vextar, the Vorthan Empire's industrial capacity would be valuable in producing hybrid technologies that combine human innovation with proven Federation systems. Captain Turner sat in the observation gallery, watching the proceedings with amazement. 3 weeks ago, he had been commanding a frigate in a desperate last stand against overwhelming odds. Now he wore the uniform of a battlecruiser captain, commanding the UES Defiance, one of Earth's new generation combat vessels. The Defiance was smaller than the USS Titan, but incorporated the same reality-manipulating technologies that had proven so effective against the Krillians. Turner's new ship could phase between dimensions, manipulate matter at the quantum level, and interface directly with captured biomechanical vessels. Most importantly, it was just the first of 50 such ships currently under construction in Earth's hidden shipyards. Dr. Grant entered the council chamber accompanied by a team of human scientists and engineers. Her presence signaled the beginning of the technology-sharing negotiations that would reshape the Federation's military capabilities. She carried data tablets containing carefully selected technological specifications that would upgrade alien fleets without revealing Earth's most sensitive secrets. Council members, Grant began, Earth proposes the establishment of joint research facilities where human and Federation scientists can work together to develop hybrid technologies. These facilities would be located in neutral space and staffed by personnel from all member species. The proposal was diplomatically phrased, but its real meaning was clear. Earth would control the pace and direction of technological advancement in the Federation, sharing just enough knowledge to strengthen the alliance while maintaining its own advantages. The aliens could participate in the research, but the fundamental breakthroughs would remain in human hands. Lieutenant Commander Rodriguez attended the meeting as part of Admiral Sullivan's staff, representing the pilot corps that had proven so effective in the recent battle. His ghost fighter was docked aboard the Titan, along with hundreds of other craft that incorporated technology the alien species were still struggling to understand. Admiral, Rodriguez reported quietly, long-range scouts report that the remaining Krillian forces have withdrawn beyond the galactic rim. Our captured bioships are tracking their retreat routes and establishing monitoring stations. Sullivan nodded, filing the information away for later discussion. The Krillian threat was contained but not eliminated. Intelligence suggested that other biomechanical civilizations existed in unexplored regions of space, possibly more advanced than the ones they had just defeated. Earth's secret military development would need to continue, preparing for threats that conventional Federation technology couldn't handle. Colonel Williams entered the chamber carrying a tablet containing reports from the captured Krillian bioships. Her Marines had successfully integrated with dozens of the alien vessels, turning them into human-controlled assets that could be used for exploration and defense. The bioships provided capabilities that complemented Earth's manufactured vessels, creating a hybrid fleet unlike anything the galaxy had seen. Admiral Sullivan, Williams reported, "The captured bioships have been integrated into our command structure. Their adaptive capabilities, combined with human neural interface technology, give us reconnaissance assets that can survive in environments our conventional ships cannot enter." The meeting continued for hours as the new power structure of the galaxy took shape. Earth would lead Federation military forces while allowing the established species to maintain their civilian authority. Human technology would be shared through controlled programs that strengthened the alliance without compromising Earth's strategic advantages. Admiral Morrison found himself in the strange position of mediating between species that had once ignored him completely. The Thex Commonwealth wanted access to human biointegration technology. The Altarian Republic requested quantum manipulation systems for their mining operations. Every member species had suddenly discovered urgent needs that only Earth could fulfill. All requests for technology transfer will be evaluated based on strategic value to the Federation and compatibility with existing human systems, Morrison announced. Earth is committed to strengthening our alliance, but we must ensure that advanced technologies are deployed responsibly. As the formal meeting concluded, Admiral Sullivan stood once more at the speaker's platform. Her words would be recorded and transmitted throughout Federation space, marking the beginning of a new era in galactic politics. Council members, the threat we faced from the Krillian Dominion was just the beginning. Our intelligence indicates that hostile civilizations exist beyond our current borders, some possibly more advanced than anything we have encountered. Earth pledges to continue developing the technologies necessary to protect all peaceful species, but we will need the full cooperation of every Federation member. The message was clear. Humanity had revealed its hidden strength when the galaxy needed it most, but greater challenges lay ahead. The age of alien condescension toward Earth was over, replaced by an era where human leadership would guide the Federation through dangers that conventional wisdom couldn't imagine. Captain Turner left the council chamber thinking about how much the galaxy had changed in just 3 weeks. The USS Liberty was being upgraded with human technology that would make it more powerful than the alien dreadnoughts that had once impressed him. More importantly, Earth's shipyards were working around the clock to build vessels that would ensure this level of surprise never worked against humanity. The final scene showed construction beginning on a new class of supercarrier, even larger than the USS Titan. In hidden facilities throughout the Sol system, humanity prepared for whatever challenges the universe might hold, secure in the knowledge that they would never again be underestimated by allies or enemies.